So without more ado then, Mr. Engel, I invite you to present your draft opinion.
Thank you, Malcolm. And even though this text, this proposed regulation, might be considered to be an important document, the share that has been reserved of this important document to this committee is such that there was not really very much to do. And as always in cases like these, there are essentially two possibilities. Either you indulge in a lengthy but probably irrelevant and unproductive power struggle, so to speak, with the competitor committee in order to get a larger chunk of matter that you can appreciate, or you don't, and you just appreciate what has been universally agreed that we might be allowed to appreciate. So therefore, I have a telephonical problem this morning. It's terrible, but I'll still continue this. Therefore, I'll limit this to two things. The first is the opinion that I've tabled, the draft opinion that I've tabled, really limits itself to what has been clearly agreed to be in the remit of the IMCO committee, leaving the rest to the International Trade Committee, and therefore is not very much, as you will have noticed when you read this. These are a few procedural points, and they are elements that I anticipated might be retained in the framework of the work that we're currently doing on the public procurement texts, and were tabled the way that I've tabled them in order to see to the greatest possible coherence between the one and the other. Now, it is no secret, and that's my second thing, that this proposed regulation is not exactly loved in all quarters. It is not loved in certain political families, and it is also not loved in, how should I say, split parts of this House. The Inter Committee, I believe, does also not exactly love it, and the one in charge there has made it a point of honour to see to it that beyond any consideration of content, the thing is essentially dragged out for as long as possible. Now, it turns out, to my knowledge, that this appreciation might not have been wrong, because the last impact assessment that we got in Parliament on the proposed text is not overwhelmingly positive. It essentially says that small and medium-sized enterprises have nothing to gain from the adoption of this text. And it also says that, but that we knew before, that we might be in for retaliation exercises from other parts which would not advance and further our agenda. Now, even though I'm notionally someone who believes in reciprocity and who believes in the fact that we should not be holier than the Pope, and that in the face of adversity one might also at some point say, look, friends across the globe, if we have opened doors very largely, then we would expect you to do the same. I believe this would be better done in concrete and real trade negotiations than it would be done with a text like this, which, as I've just said, under impact assessment does not yield a conclusively positive outcome. Now, that being said, we're not in charge of the text in full. We're not in charge of the text as such. We're only in charge of a few very limited elements on which I've written a few things. Deadline of amendments, I believe, is the 11th of July. So that should leave colleagues enough time to get back to this. I have chosen, as you have noticed, I'll repeat that at the end, I have chosen to really remain within the remit that we've been unequivocally given, so as not to stir up problems later on when we hand over the opinion to the Inter Committee, and when then we would have admissibility problems. I wanted to avoid that. It is, of course, the choice of colleagues to follow that line or to adopt another line. I will just say, as a concluding sentence, that I would probably be happy if we could agree to keeping it the way that I have started it, for the very simple reason that there might be other fora in which to debate this, and if we stick to the remit that we have, it might make at least our work easier when we get to the final text. Thank you.